Hello, Internet. It is Adam Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today we're going to be talking about Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it because there's a lot to go over. So, first, pros MCU. I've said it many times before, I'll say it again. MCU speaks for itself. Biggest franchise of all time. It's made billions upon billions of dollars. Had the biggest movie of all time for a little while in the form of Endgame. It's, 2.7 billion, 1.1 billion, 1.9 billion, almost a billion for Doctor Strange 2, 1.1 to 2, 1.3, that was Black Panther. 1 billion, another billion, another billion, another billion. You see lots of billions here. And hundreds of millions too. And yeah, nothing really else to say, but it's a cash cow, to say the least. So obviously the MCU, it's a pro, an easy pro. Another pro is this movie's predecessor, Black Panther. Let's talk about that. So Black Panther came out in 2018, literally 2 months before Infinity War. And the character T'Challa, he made his debut in Civil War, Captain America Civil War, like in 2016, but it wasn't until 2018 where he had his solo movie. And this movie, calling it a success is a real understatement. Okay, I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people knew this movie would be a hit for many reasons. One, MCU flick. Two, Black Panther as a character is well known, relatively more well known than say some other characters like say Ant-Man or Guardians of the Galaxy. People knew who Black Panther was before the movie, so that's obviously a good thing. Came out in February, which, isn't a great month to release movies, but hit movies can happen in February. I mean, look at Deadpool, look at Passion of the Christ, look at Lego Movie, just to name a few. 50 Shades of Grey, another one. So you can have a big hit in February. It's definitely possible. And the date, made sense. I mean, February is Black History Month, so Marvel knew exactly what they were doing, releasing it in February. And it worked. It absolutely worked. But it worked way better than anyone, even Disney, worked way better than anyone thought it could because, my God, it opened with over 202 million and like 240, yeah, 242 million for like the 4-day weekend because it was President's Day weekend. Think about these numbers: 200 plus million in February. February. You expect these numbers in summer, or at least with December, with like the reason the Star Wars movies prove that. But in February, these numbers are just pure insanity. And the insanity continued afterwards because it was number one for 5 weeks, and it had really, really good legs, like way better, way better than average for the genre. Because as you know, superhero movies, they're the type of genre where they burn out real fast. All the fans show up day one, and then it just evaporates after that. That didn't really happen here. It didn't have a big decline until like its 14th weekend. But yeah, it was like the train that just kept rolling, which was helped because one, the movie had spectacular word of mouth. Like its critic score was like a 98%, its audience score had like an A plus cinema score. Word of mouth was through the roof. And also helped that competition was weak as hell. I mean, this thing had to go up against what? Wrinkle in Time, Tomb Raider, shoot, Red Sparrow, Game Nights, really weak competition to say the least, which helped it be number one for so long. But yeah, it made 700 million domestic, which at the time it was the third biggest movie of all time domestic. The only two movies that made more money at that time were Force Awakens and Avatar. That's obviously changed. Three other movies have beaten it, and those movies are Endgame, No Way Home, and Top Gun Maverick. But still, 700 million domestic is a hell of an achievement, to say the least. More than the first Avengers and Infinity War, which is real crazy. Now, worldwide, internationally, it still did really good, but not as good as it did domestically, and it made like 1.3 billion, which is still a spectacular number for like a solo MCU movie that's not like a team up movie or anything. So it makes all the logical sense to make a sequel to this because there's so much money that you can make now with a Black Panther movie. So, yeah, obviously Black Panther, being the mega, 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 mega hit that it was, is going to help out the sequel because Black Panther had such good, word of mouth and like such good, you know, the goodwill from the first movie usually translates to the next movie, and I think we're definitely going to see that here. So I would consider that to be a pro, a highly, highly, highly successful predecessor. Another pro is that the reviews for Black Panther Wakanda Forever are pretty darn good. Not quite as strong as its predecessor, but honestly, I really don't think Black Panther deserved that 98% score. I know. Controversial opinion. I think it's, for me personally, watching it, I don't think it was a bad movie or anything, but I don't think it was like this masterpiece. I definitely don't see it as that. It was a 7 out of 10 movie, really. But Black Panther Wakanda Forever, it's I have to look up its score real quick. Last night, okay, it's at 84% uh with critics, and its audience score is 95%, and its cinema score, which I can look up thanks to me doing this video so late, its cinema score is A, which I believe is down from the first movie. Yeah, the first Black Panther got an A plus, so this is a bit of a step down, but an A cinema score is still a very, very, very good score. It's not cream of the crop, but it's still really good. So word of mouth definitely won't be a problem here. It's a non-issue. So word of mouth, reviews, audience scores, all positive. So that's a pro. Another pro is that, man, the last few months of the box office have been weak as fuck. Oh, like it's been real depressing. I mean, the last real mega blockbuster we got was Thor: Love and Thunder, the last MCU flick. After that, it's been sad. I mean, sure, we've had some hits here and there. We had Where the Crawdad Sings, Nope, Bullet Train, Dragon Ball Super Superhero, Barbarian, Smile, movies like that. But yeah, just a lot of underperformers are just movies that are just not, a lot of mid-level movies at best. And like the biggest movie we've had in the last few months was Black Adam, and that movie's not going to make a profit. So things have been rough, and obviously, audiences had they been starving for like a big, big blockbuster movie like this. Black Adam was meant to be that movie, but didn't quite materialize. But it'll definitely materialize here. So yeah, audiences, been waiting for a big, big movie like this for a long time. That's obviously going to help the movie out. So yeah, having like such a weak last few months has definitely increased audiences' appetite for a big money blockbuster. So that's a pro in this movie's favor. Another pro is that competition. Oh, that's real funny because there's literally nothing for like the next month. I mean, the rest of November doesn't stand that much of a chance, really. You know, and December, the first few weeks of December are going to be weak. Like the next big movie that's going to be coming out is what is it? The Avatar: The Way of Water, but that's not till the 16th. So this movie has plenty of time to make money. Heck, it could theoretically repeat the 5 weekend, number one streak of its predecessor. But we'll see if that happens. But yeah, competition is a non-issue until the 16th of December when Avatar 2 comes out. So yeah, no real competition for the next month. Big pro. Obviously a big pro. Uh what else? So its Thursday preview is quite good. It made 28 million on Thursday night. I have to find it. When it comes to previews, it's the 15th biggest of all time. It's higher than its predecessor, which was 25.2 million, which is a good thing at first glance, but then you remember, say, with Halloween Ends, that had a higher Thursday preview than Halloween Kills and ended up making far less overall. So yeah, take this with a grain of salt, but an improvement is an improvement. And I mean, this Thursday preview is bigger than, say, BVS, Age of Ultron, you know, Catching Fire, Lion King 2019, The Batman, Captain Marvel, Suicide Squad, Top Gun Maverick, Deadpool 2, a whole bunch of movies. But at the same time, it is worse than Thor Love and Thunder. Granted, it's by like $1 million, but still. And it's quite a bit worse than Doctor Strange 2. And it's not even in the same league as No Way Home. But keep in mind, No Way Home had stupid level hype surrounding it, like next level hype. And Doctor Strange 2, it had a lot of hype thanks to No Way Home. It had like a big old halo effect. Obviously, because Doctor Strange was a big part of No Way Home. He's the reason why the plot happened. And obviously, the success of No Way Home would translate to Doctor Strange 2. And Thor Love and Thunder, that was kind of just build up as like another Thor movie, but hey, Jane Foster's back. It wasn't built up as like this in-game level movie. The same thing goes with Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. So it's Thursday preview. It's not the greatest, but it's still a very strong number. Especially considering it's like November. I mean, Thor came out like in July, and usually it's much easier to go to Thursday night previews in summer than November or like any other time of the year. So, yeah. Thursday previews are still good overall. And heck, its Thursday previews are actually better than the full opening day of Black Adam. So, there is that. So, Thursday previews I would consider to be a pro. And obviously, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. Chadwick Boseman. Okay. So as you know, Chadwick Boseman, he portrayed T'Challa in the MCU, portrayed him in Civil War, portrayed him in the first Black Panther movie, portrayed him in Infinity War, Endgame. So everyone naturally assumed, he would be back for Black Panther 2. Unfortunately, this did not happen. Because as we all know, August 2020, I believe it was the exact day, it was like the 28th. Because I remember it happening when I found out that Chadwick Boseman had died. I saw like one article about it. I was like, wait, what? Like, I was in total shock. I had to look up multiple articles to see if this was legit because obviously on the internet, you have to take things with a grain of salt. People love putting fake celebrity deaths online. So I had to check multiple sources to see if it was real. They all said it was real. And I was like, wow, he's gone. It was a shock to everyone. No one saw it coming. And like the cause of his death was like colon cancer. And the thing is, he was suffering with that for years, years. No one knew anything. You couldn't tell he was suffering through that with like the other MCU movies, like seeing him in those, you couldn't tell you know he was going through that. It's mind boggling. But some people, this was like a couple months before his death. Like he was doing like an interview, and people noticed like he looked like really skinny and like frail. But some people wrote it off as maybe it's like for a movie role because some actors do go the extra mile when it comes to roles. Like look at Christian Bale. That dude has lost a ton of weight and gained a ton of weight from movies. So people thought it was like that, but it wasn't. And yeah, so because of Chadwick Boseman's death, this obviously put Marvel in a predicament when it came to Black Panther 2. Because this isn't like Heath Ledger's death or Paul Walker's death. Heath Ledger's death, like with The Dark Knight, that movie was already finished pretty much. It was filmed, nothing more they could really do about that. And with Paul Walker, he died in the middle of Furious Seven's, filming. So they were able to have like all the existing footage with him, and anything they didn't have, they used like his brothers as like stand-ins and use CGI to basically use him for the rest of the movie. Here, the movie didn't even start filming. Like it had a finished script, but because of his death, the whole movie had to be reworked. Basically, had to start from scratch, completely rewritten. And Marvel chose to not recast T'Challa. They were just like Chadwick Boseman is T'Challa. That's not going to change for any reason. So yeah, obviously, this movie is it. It wasn't supposed obviously it wasn't supposed to be a tribute to Chadwick Boseman, but it ended up being that. And from what I hear, they do a pretty darn good job with the tribute. And I imagine that's going to be a big reason why a lot of people watch this movie, besides the fact that it's an MCU movie. Because, Black Panther was a massive, massive deal. Like, Black Panther became an A-list superhero thanks to that movie. And, with him, Chadwick Boseman, like, the whole character gone, it's going to lead to, like, a bunch of people wanting to see, again, how they handle the whole thing, because we know in universe, this isn't a spoiler, they showed us in the trailers that T'Challa is dead in universe too. So yeah, obviously this is kind of like the Heath Ledger Paul Walker effect in a way, because like especially in Paul Walker's case, where his death, a lot of people really wanted to see Furious 7 because it was his last movie, and there was like a big tribute to him, and it did way, way better than all the other Fast and Furious movies because of that. We could, I don't know if we're going to see a similar thing here, but I do imagine quite a few people are going to see this movie just to see how they handle and how they pay tribute to Chadwick Boseman. So I would consider that to be a very sad pro, very bittersweet pro, but a pro nonetheless. Okay, so we're done with pros. Cons. Marvel fatigue. This is something that I've been hearing about more and more the last like 2 years. When it comes to MCU, because the MCU it's existed for like 14 years. This is the 30th movie in the MCU, which 30 movies in 14 years. God. That is a lot, to say the least. So naturally, with all those movies, burnout is inevitable. It's just gonna happen, and a lot of people have really felt burnt out. Like they're just not as excited for these movies anymore, or they've just straight up given up. And like the shows definitely don't help anything at all. They've kind of like diluted things, just made things like even more just exhausting for people, especially me. Although like I just can't get into the MCU shows. Like there's too many, they come out too fast. I have no time to watch them, and it's just more and more coming out, and it's a nightmare, and I don't want to deal with it. So, I mean, I'm going to try to watch them, but it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a slog, and I'm not looking forward to it at all. But yeah, the last few MCU movies, like after Endgame, and a lot of people just were like, "Okay, MCU, bye." And after that, it's not been the same. It's not been the same at all. I mean, sure, Far From Home made $1 billion, but then there was like a 2 year gap, thanks to COVID. Black Widow didn't cut the mustard, partially because it was on Disney Plus at the same time. Shang-Chi did all right, but still didn't do that great. Eternals sucked ass and didn't do great financially either. No Way Home did spectacular, obviously. But that was mainly because of, the whole, oh, Toby and Andrew are gonna be in this movie, and it was like this big moment in movie history. And then Doctor Strange 2, it really should have made $1 billion, but it still didn't made a lot of money, but some people had problems with the movie. And then Thor Love and Thunder, a lot of people really didn't like that movie. Personally, I thought it was mid. It was just meh. And I actually liked Doctor Strange 2 a bit, even though I had problems with it. And No Way Home slaps. Absolutely slaps. But yeah, things have just not been the same after Endgame. Not at all. And with this is supposed to be the end of Phase 4. It really doesn't feel like it. Like with Phase 4, like the whole thing just feels like the best way I can describe Phase 4 is I basically calling it the phase that happened. That is literally the best way I can describe it, because like there's no big finale, like say with Phase 1, 2, or 3. There's no big threat. I know there's supposed to be a threat with like Kang, but that won't happen till later. So this just feels like super anticlimactic, anticlimactic, and just kind of pointless overall. So yeah, that Marvel fatigue, I don't know if it's really, really set in, because if it's the way franchise fatigue, once you'll know when it sets in, when a movie like drops really hard, you see like a noticeable dip in box office. And we haven't really seen that. I mean, Thor Love and Thunder, it made like 745 million. That's like only like 100 million behind Ragnarok, and it made more in the States than Ragnarok, so uh, I don't really see that much fatigue there. But obviously, time, like the way we will really truly see legit fatigue is if all MCU movies like seriously underperform, like they all just fall off hard. They make like Morbius money or something. That's when shit's really hit the fan. But that hasn't happened yet. But I imagine it will happen eventually. Just not now. But yeah, Marvel fatigue, I would definitely label that as a potential con. I don't think it will affect this movie here, but it is like something that will affect the MCU as a whole. And it'll affect it more and more as time goes on. Uh, but besides that, there's really no other cons. This movie is guaranteed to make a lot of money this weekend, so yeah, that's really it. So, opening weekend, let's look at its predecessor. Or at least, now let's look at other MCU movies. That would be wise. So, this is a sequel, right? So, let's look at other MCU sequels. Thor Love and Thunder, 100, opened with 144 million. Doctor Strange 2, 187. No Way Home, 260 million. There's Far From Home. That had a weird release. I wouldn't compare it to that. That opened like on a Tuesday. But yeah, Black Panther 202 million. It's not comparing it to the Avengers movies either, because they're like team up movies. But yeah, yeah. So with Black Panther, will it match that? No, I don't see that happening at all. I I never saw that happening. That was just outside the realm of possibility because I forgot to mention it as a con. Like maybe I was thinking Black Panther may have been too successful for its own good because it set expectations way, way, way too high for the sequel to the point where it was just gonna be. It was like trying to make lightning strike twice. And in the world of movies, it can happen, but it doesn't happen very often. Okay, so yeah, obviously expectations would be like through the roof, and if the movie didn't reach those expectations, it would be seen as a flop. So yeah, I don't think it was gonna make as much as like the first movie. I just think that's just out of the question. But I do think it will definitely open around the same realm as say Doctor Strange 2 or what else? Civil War, Age of Ultron. I think it will open around the same range as those. I think that's achievable at this point because from what I've heard from like its early numbers, like early estimates for Friday, it doesn't seem to be like ultra front loaded, but granted, like today, well, yesterday, as we're recording this, was a Veterans Day. I forgot to mention that. Shoot, with pros, like yesterday was Veterans Day. Veterans Day is not like a massive holiday like say Thanksgiving or Christmas, but it is a day that helps out movies because kids are out of school and some people don't have work, so because of that every movie is going to get an artificial boost in their box office, and the weekend is going to look really weird. So obviously, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever would benefit from that, which is definitely why it took the November 11th date like, instead of like the first weekend of November. So Marvel made a smart call here. So because of that, uh, I'm just gonna say it's gonna open between 160 to 180. I think that is achievable enough. I think that's fine enough. Yeah, it would literally destroy like every other movie that's come out in the last few months. And yeah, yeah, and it's total. I don't expect it to have this, its legs to be as strong as its predecessor because of the whole sequel effect thing, where sometimes with sequels, have like bigger opening weekend but shorter legs. Here, it's a smaller opening weekend and still shorter legs. So, uh, I think it's gonna make between within the realm of I can see 400 million to 500 million total, somewhere a really wide range. I think it'll land between those two numbers. I can see it definitely making more than Doctor Strange 2, but yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about worldwide either. I expect the same thing's going to happen here where it makes less internationally than in the states. I don't know if it'll make $1 billion. That is a big question right there. That's a massive question mark. If it'll make $1 billion, who knows? But it will certainly be, a shot in the arm that, movie theaters really, really needed for a long time. It'll definitely be that. So, yeah. That's Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And that's it for the weekend. Only one movie, because what movie was gonna go up against this? Like, come on, that would have been a real dumb choice. But yeah. Next weekend we have two movies coming out, both pretty minor in the grand scheme of things. The Menu and She Said. Then after that, we got our Thanksgiving movies, four of them. Devotion, Strange World, Bones and All, and The Fablemans, and then that's it for November. Yeah, yeah. So That's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn notifications, share the whole drill. Want to check out more videos like this? I got playlists on the homepage, all previous prediction videos I made this year. If you want to check out my prediction videos for Doctor Strange 2 and Thor Love and Thunder, you can go right ahead and search for them in the playlist. There's also the canceled series where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. I've covered Black Panther 2 several times. Actually, only 2 times, but that's only because it's like grouped in with a bunch of other MCU movies. Those episodes were, see, episode 30 and part 30 and episode 84. Yeah, 84. So only 2 times. Wow. It's kind of crazy. Only 2 times. So, yeah. So you want to watch those canceled episodes or any other ones I've done recently? I did one like what, Thursday? I was it Thursday? I'm pretty sure it was Thursday. Yeah, it was Thursday. It was about like primarily about a new SpongeBob movie and a new Avatar movie coming in 2025. So you want to watch that episode and all the other ones. There's like 166 episodes. So yeah, plenty to choose from. Like go right ahead, watch them all from beginning to now, binge it all. Highly encourage you to do that. So go do it. There's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. Just did October recap yesterday. November recap will come out first week of no of December, realistically, because there's not a whole lot to discuss regarding in November movies, because it's mainly just going to be about Black Panther 2 and everything else is just going to be there. So it won't be too hard to make that video. But yeah, I'm planning on doing that the first week of December. So I'll let you know if anything changes, but yeah, stay tuned for that. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I've done on the channel, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.